Cowboy Chronicles, the Oklahoman's Oklahoma State Football Podcast. I am your host, Scott Wright, joined by Jacob Unruh. We're back at Stone Cloud, one day after our special episode with Colin Oliver, who joined us yesterday.
This is a treat for our viewers, our listeners,
Yes, exactly.
even our readers.
Yes.
We're bringing you extra content here.
Exactly. Got a bonus episode
Yes.
this week.
You've got to go check this out.
Go check it out.
on
Whether
YouTube.
if you're on YouTube, it's on the YouTube channel. If you're on Apple Podcasts, scroll back one. It's on the Apple Podcast channel as well. Got to have a thing, a one-on-one, a two-on-one, I guess.
Yeah.
But we got to have Colin Oliver on the show, and it was fantastic. He was a blast. Had a lot of fun. Talked some football. Talked some non-football. We got to do it all, and it was a really good time. So you'll want to go check that out if you have a chance, if you haven't already, because that was up a day earlier than this one. So hope you got to check it out. If not, go back and explore that one. I want to thank the folks at prediction.com for helping us put that together and get that knocked out. So really good stuff, but now it's a Monday afternoon and we're back at Stone Cloud.
Yes, this is where we want to be. We didn't get to be here last week because there were no football availabilities. We did not talk to players, did not talk to Mike Gundy. We stayed in Oklahoma City.
We did.
And did not get to come here on Monday, which is unfortunate.
Yes.
But we're back.
We're back.
And now we're drinking beer and we're talking football.
And
we've got stuff. So
what are we drinking?
What are we drinking? This is the big segment. We need music.
We
need
do.
some music for these
Right.
things. It's like,
I agree.
Just what are we drinking? Ba-da-da-da. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
I'm drinking a Hellas
Very
lager.
nice.
And it's really, really good.
Yep.
I can't remember the exact name of it now, and it's not nearby where I can see.
Yes.
But
Excursion?
Excursion.
Excursion?
Yes. Yes. It's fantastic. It's actually really good. The drink I took a little bit ago while you were talking was the first drink I'd had of it. And I really, really like it.
All right. Good deal. I am drinking Bruce Lee,
Oh.
an Imperial IPA.
Not
which I have-
Bruce.
Not Bruce.
Brews.
No, Brews. BREWS. So they have Chuck Norris.
Yes.
They have Bruce Lee. They've got, I don't know, they've got to figure out a way to get Jackie Chan maybe in here next. I don't know.
They do a bunch of Christmas characters at Christmas for their stouts.
Right.
They do a lot of that. So they like characters around
They
here.
do, and they do it well. I'm assuming this one's good. I'm
It's
taking
good. I've had it.
other
It's
people's
good.
word for it, but here we go. So,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that's good.
All right, there we go.
Very nice.
See, nailed it. Bruce
Very
Lee
good
doesn't
stuff.
miss.
That's right. That's exactly right. All right. Of course, we want to remind everybody about our newsletter. It's going to be something very interesting this week. I assume we haven't actually discussed what's going to be in the newsletter yet this
We
week.
prepared for that as much as we prepared for this show today.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll get that going and have some good stuff in your inbox if you subscribe to the Oklahoma State Athletics newsletter through Oklahoman.com. Go check that out. As always, we want to remind you, if you're watching on YouTube, go down in the comments, give a prediction for Oklahoma State, Kansas State this week, and you have a chance to win a beer that we will drink for you on the next show. We actually did have a winner of the Iowa State game. Yes.
We did. I was about to ask.
Yes, his name was Eric, and he did not predict a score, but he did say, quote, Pokes lose. So that was really the only accurate prediction.
You get a half a beer, Eric.
Okay, that's
half of this.
fair.
Half of one of these beers is
That's
yours.
fair. That's fair. So half a beer
We
for
want full
for Eric.
participation in the future, Eric.
Yeah, get
I
a
want
score. Get a score in there. All right. So that's your chance to win a beer that we'll drink for you next week.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we did discuss a lot of Kansas State related stuff in the Colin Oliver episode, so we don't want to repeat a ton of that. So we'll stay focused mostly on what Mike Gundy had to say today. Some interesting things to kind of unwrap and unravel that we can get into. We'll get into, we'll have, of course, the Stone Cloud six-pack at the end of the day that I'm very excited for.
Yes,
on
this is a good one.
levels.
Though I had no idea what we're going to bring me football-wise.
Right, no, of course not, because I just typed it in while you were researching the other half of the draft.
For the draft, yeah. So I did a little homework for the draft because that's what I care about on this podcast is the draft.
Yes, so we'll get into all of that, but Mike Gundy today, I think the phrase you used in what you wrote for the website was smoke and mirrors.
Yes.
Felt like a lot of that going on
Yes.
with Gundy today. Basically said they'll determine their starting quarterback based on practice this week. We'll work it out in practice. Was that the phrase?
Yeah, we're working through that in practice or something.
Yes, exactly. So I don't know that there's anybody outside the program that really thinks it's not Alan Bowman at this point.
And spoiler alert, because this will be out tomorrow, we're talking to Alan Bowman later today.
Yes.
So read into that how you want to read to it.
Yes, and Mike Gundy approves the players that we get to talk to. He could have said, no, I don't want you talking to the guy who's not going to be my starter.
Yeah.
But he's letting us talk to him.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's a lot that's being hidden right here. So we'll share some of the stuff that Alan Bowman has to say in the paper and on Oklahoman.com. So you'll have to go look for that. But yeah, felt very odd to go that direction after Bowman started and played moderately well.
Yeah, I don't think he played poorly, so I don't know why you would make a change at this point.
Right. No,
against a good defense too.
Exactly. Really good defense. They had over 400 yards. First time Iowa State had given up over 400 yards in 19 games.
Yeah.
So I understand. Yes, he could have played better. Yes, the line could have blocked better. They could have run the ball more effectively. All of those things. But for where they are right now, I thought he played pretty well.
Yeah.
And I don't see a reason to panic yet at this point. We've discussed at some point you probably go ahead and roll with one of your young guys. I would say probably Garrett Rangel. But I don't think you're at that point right now.
No, I think you it's one Big 12 game.
Yeah.
You know, like I think people are forgetting that. I mean, yeah, they're 2-2, but it's one Big 12 game. So if magically you turn this thing around in the bye week,
right,
there's still a lot of football left.
Yeah.
So you can't turn to, you got to go with the best guy right now.
Exactly. In terms of other smoke and mirrors discussions, the two safety positions outside of Kendall Daniels still remain a mystery. Lyric Rawls did not play at Iowa State, did not make the trip at all. They've been a little bit cagey in terms of how they've discussed him. Basically said that he was just not on the trip at Iowa State, and now he's day-to-day.
Yeah, and Gundy said depends on how he feels.
Yes.
So I think it's injury-related, but we're not 100% sure.
Yeah.
So
we're playing it very close to the
kind of mystery on that one. And then, of course, the Trey Rucker incident with his arrest the day after the game in Iowa, and he's facing some charges for an alleged DUI.
Yes.
And Gundy says he's still active.
Yes.
And on the team because they're letting the legal process play out. I think active is different than he will play on Saturday.
Yeah.
And so I don't expect Trey Rucker to play on Saturday, but Gundy left the door open, I guess, just in case in a way.
Yes.
But I don't expect Trey Rucker to play.
He left himself some wiggle room.
Yeah.
And we've talked on this show about how Rucker has played a ton.
Yes.
Even when they're rotating other young guys in at other positions, including Kendall Daniels' spot, they're not rotating at Rucker's spot, which leaves a little bit of concern maybe for what they've got behind him. So maybe you don't want to let the cat out of the bag fully that you're going to be playing a young guy who really hasn't played at all this season. So I think maybe that could be playing into how Gundy handled the questions today on Rucker. Probably plays into how he handled the Rawls questions as well. Cameron Epps was a guy that we saw at Iowa State getting a lot of work. Not sure who the next guy in line would be.
Ty Williams?
Ty Williams obviously has been playing the Kendall Daniels spot, but I think he's a guy that they're most confident in.
Yeah.
Raymond Gay is another guy back there that's had a lot of experience in terms of behind the scenes practice and those sorts
or
of
maybe
things.
Rawls plays and Epps fills in for Rucker.
Could be.
Maybe they kind of move some guys like that.
Could be, yeah. A lot of things that could happen as they try to figure out what exactly direction they're going there. Obviously, getting the pass defense shored up is the most pressing thing for this team right now, and to have a couple of question marks on the back end is a little bit scary. So I'll be curious to see how they handle that on Friday night. Which I'm really excited about a Friday night blackout. I think the atmosphere
really
is going to be buzzing. I think it's going to be fun. I know a lot of Oklahoma State fans are down right now because of the way things are going, but a week off to put it behind you, and I think you're going to have some excitement in that stadium that this team probably really needs.
Yeah, I think so. I think you get a chance to come out, and I think blackouts are always fun anyways, but now all of a sudden you put on a Friday night, their game, not a lot of games going on across the country, national spotlight for OSU. I think fans are going to get a little hyped up to it, I'm not sure what Stillwater High is doing that night.
That's a good question.
I have not looked that up. I apologize, but I think, even especially if Stillwater's not in town, maybe, maybe you get, a bit more of an atmosphere.
Could be an interesting night. Other things from Gundy that stuck out. There was a lot of pure football talk.
Yeah, a lot of pure football talk that was a little tough to dissect and relay along just in a clean way. But I think his talk about Alex Hale fascinated me because Gundy was asked how comfortable with the length of a kick for Hale he was, and he said 57 and in. Yeah. And I thought 57, that's a long ways for Alex Hale, right? His career long is 53 now. He just hit the other day against the wind, on grass, tall, thick grass, which I thought was crazy impressive. He did it in a hurry too.
Yeah.
But 57, he said Logan Ward, if he could have the idea where the ball's going, could kick further probably. So they got some legs. I thought that was fascinating. I thought his talk about NIL at the end was fascinating because I know a lot of fans are really concerned with NIL stuff right now.
And there's been a lot of stuff. I think a lot of stuff floating around on the internet that's not all that accurate in terms of his feelings about it. And it's sort of similar with his feelings about the portal.
Yeah.
Like, he came out last year and said we're not portal people, but he's used the portal, he's used the grad transfer rule.
Yeah. Before a lot of people were doing it.
Exactly. He was doing it well early. He doesn't like what these things represent to college football.
Yes.
So he's not pushing for an increase in how these things are used.
Yeah.
He would like it to go back in time, essentially. Yeah. But he also knows that he has to use it all. Yeah. So, I think some of the things that are said about his beliefs toward those two things are a little bit blown out of proportion.
And he was pretty firm today about he likes Pokes of the Purpose, the NIL Collective. I've written about them before. I know some of those people. They're trying to do good things for OSU athletes and the community. They combine all in one thing and try and do that. And he was very firm about how important that is to them and everything. And I thought that was a good. It was a timely question that I think got a good, solid answer out there finally from Mike in front of a lot of people and cameras saying, I really think this is important.
Yeah, because I think that he does understand that, even if he doesn't like.
Yeah.
If he could, he'd be an eraser and just go wipe all of this stuff out.
Yeah, exactly.
But he can't, and so he has to adapt. So, all right. Other things from Gundy. I was listening to you and not thinking about what else Gundy had to say.
Yeah, I was about to ask you what else you got here. He talked about
his talk about the Kansas State defense. I thought was interesting because it is a different type of three-man front. They do some different things with how they operate. Do some different things with the linebackers. So it's not the same as what Oklahoma State and Iowa State run. But he said there are a lot of similar principles. So. I think seeing both in practice as much as Oklahoma State does, particularly through the spring and some of fall camp, probably benefits the offense to understand how to block it differently, how to react to a three-man front. When you got a linebacker walking up to the line like they do with Colin Oliver, all those sorts of things. I think they see it more now and in full speed live situation against your best players rather than scout team guys.
Yeah.
So I think that makes a real difference for what this team is able to do. Now, that said, Kansas State has been really good against the run, and that's going to be a big question mark for Oklahoma State going into this Friday night ball game.
I also thought it was interesting what he said about Will Howard, the Kansas State quarterback, and how he has been the biggest positive change for them as a team because he said he's been there 5 or 6 years. This is his 4th season, by the way. Which is easy to think that because he's played in multiple games every year. He's been so heavily involved because their quarterbacks have gotten hurt and things like that. But starter this year, apparently, his improvements, Gundy believes, is the reason why Kansas State continues to take off like it is because of his growth, which I thought was really fascinating because they've had quarterbacks that have been better than him the last few years, but yet he continues to grow and keeps staying it. So
yeah, I mean, he wasn't even really the starter when Oklahoma State went up there. We all thought that Adrian Martinez was going to play that week last year, and he comes out and has just an incredible day.
Torches OSU.
He had a big day back in, I want to say 2020, the COVID year up there when Oklahoma State ended up winning 20-18. They had that late fumble return by Jason Taylor for a touchdown that helped them pull that one out 20-18. But he rushed for 125 yards in that ball game. He's been a guy that has been a thorn for the Oklahoma State defense during his career. So I can understand why it probably feels to Gundy like he's been there for 6 years.
He's been there forever. He's got to go. You know, it's
exactly. And I don't think now the Arizona State quarterback was a different kind of athlete.
Yes.
But a true freshman. Will Howard's a vet, an experienced guy.
This is his 27th game.
That's wild.
He's played that.
Yeah. And like you said, most of that he's been the number 2 guy on the depth chart. I think he might have even been number 3 in 2020.
That might be more games now on Bowman, because Bowman's made 19 starts now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm going to say that is more.
And so 20 if you don't include the opener.
Right.
So I don't know.
I think there were 3. I think there were 3 games he came in relief
in Michigan
at between Texas Tech and Michigan.
Yeah. So he's probably played more games than Alan Bowman at this point. And Bowman's 24 years old and a veteran. So
and Howard is very efficient in how he operates an offense. He does it. He didn't throw the ball a ton last year, but completed a lot of big passes, almost 300 yards. He had like I said, the game where he rushed for 125 on 14 carries. So he can be impactful even without a lot of usage, to steal a basketball term. So that's going to be, I think, the biggest challenge for this defense this week, because they've got to worry about the straight run game, running back run game. They've got to worry about the pass coverage that's been an issue for them the last 2 weeks. But also now you've got a quarterback who is kind of a wily vet that can take off and run on you, and that adds just another wrinkle to things that they've got to do defensively to be ready to go. So it's I think a scary situation on some level for an Oklahoma State defense that's probably feeling a little bit rattled right now after the way things have gone the last couple of weeks. So anything else from Gundy that jumped out at you?
No, I think that's pretty good for us. I think it was a little shorter today too. He had places to be because of a practice schedule today, but it was good, insightful stuff of what we got.
Yeah, it was, and also I'll just to tease a story for later in the week. Going to be writing about Dalton Cooper. I got to ask Mike some questions about that, which I thought were very helpful. Cooper came in as a transfer from Texas State, had played left tackle for 3 years, been a starter there, a really good left tackle there, and obviously a local kid from Prague, Oklahoma. They get him in, and he misses. Mike estimated about 10 practices back in spring out of 15, so that's a pretty significant number, and then was kind of behind then by that point, by the time he got going in the fall. So really important for him. I think, according to Pro Football Focus, he is the best graded offensive lineman to this point. He's only had about a game and a half at left tackle. Yeah. Came in as backup when Jake Springfield got hurt at right tackle in the opener. Played a couple of games there, shifts over to the left, and has been really consistent for them.
He's been a big reason the offensive line's improved.
I think so.
It's because of him.
I think it's a really important improvement. We saw Cole Birmingham shift from left tackle over to right. Of course, Springfield still not healthy. Once he comes back, don't know what exactly will happen there, so we'll see how they handle that. But I think getting guys in the spots where they're most comfortable, and Cooper certainly seems more comfortable on the left side than the right side. So getting guys where they're comfortable is going to be really important to going forward and actually making some impact. So, all right, anything else before we head on to the Stone Cloud six-pack?
No, I think the Stone Cloud six-pack is in order. I'm ready for the questions you're going to fire at me that I'm not prepared for.
No clue what's coming, and I will. It fits right in with where we just finished, because I'm starting with the run game.
Okay,
obviously, like I said, Oklahoma State really struggling. Kansas State really good against the run. So, with that, over or under 3.0 yards per carry for the Cowboys this week. First, just for some context, while you debate that, Oklahoma State. I don't remember what Oklahoma State's number ended up being at Iowa State, but they had the 71-yard rush by Ollie Gordon.
And then it was not very good after that.
All the rest of their carries, they averaged 2.6, I think, is what the number was. It was definitely under.
I'm going to say under then.
I'm with you on that.
I'm going to say under. Kansas State's defensive fronts were really, really good.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to be a huge difference maker.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is going to be a tough week for them in that regard. They're going to need to complete some passes to try to give themselves a chance, and I think this is the week that you see the receivers have a little bit of a big day.
Yeah.
That said, that leads us to number 2 in the Stone Cloud six-pack, Brendan Presley, we talked about him today.
Okay.
And the need to get him more involved in the offense. There was a concerted effort the first couple of games. The last two, it's been really difficult to get him the ball. So, and we're just talking pass receptions. I'll add in rushes, but we're not including special teams in his touches for this question. Brendan Presley, over or under 3.5 total touches?
Over.
Going over?
I'm going over because I really think something they probably worked on in this bye week is getting him the football more, finding ways to get him more involved, because you just can't have a guy like Brendan Presley not touching the football.
Yeah.
They figured out how to get Ollie Gordon more involved, and they got to figure out a way to get Brendan Presley more involved. And I think if you do that, it's going to make this offense even a little bit more better. Maybe not great, but it'll be better.
Yeah, I can see that. That said, I am going under this week. I feel like teams are devising ways to eliminate Brendan Presley, and that sort of helps when they're in the run game because they're clouding the middle of the field up around the box, and that's where Presley can do a lot of his damage. So I'm going under. I think it's a really important week for Dejon Stribling, Jaden Bray. If we see Blaine Green get involved again, he was the leading receiver down at Iowa State, or up at Iowa State. Those guys. Talon Shetron was another guy that was heavily involved. Those are guys that are going to have to be big this week on Friday night, I think. So, all right, moving over to the defensive side of the ball. We've tried this one a couple of times, and I don't know that either of us have gotten it yet. But next interception for the Oklahoma State defense.
Next interception, I'm going with Colin Oliver. Friend of the podcast.
That's
Colin
right.
Oliver.
Friend of the show.
He is now a friend of the podcast officially. Yes. So I'm going with Colin Oliver.
All right. Very good. I am not going to disagree with that at all. But since I have to pick someone else, I will take Kendall Daniels.
Okay.
I think he's really figuring out this middle safety job, and I'm very intrigued by where that's going to go from here for him, because I think he has a chance to be a real star in that role, and I think it's going to be good for him.
I think the thing about Kendall is up here right now, the busts that happen, he's pointing out the busts before they happen. The other guys aren't adjusting. I think that's a sign of how far he's coming along at that position.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, with that, Oklahoma State has lost their last two games.
Yeah.
They need a reason to believe.
Yes.
And with that, the draft for this week's Stone Cloud Six Pack, Ted Lasso quotes.
And this also fits in because OSU women's soccer just did a Ted Lasso
That's exactly
night.
right.
Because football is life here in Stillwater.
Yes, exactly. Listen, don't be looking at my list. Don't be looking at my list.
So,
all right.
Yes,
that's exactly right. So, with that, we will jump into the last rounds of the draft. Our favorite Ted Lasso quotes. Both of us are big fans of the show, and if I had thought far enough ahead, I would have shaved my beard into a Foxworthy, and
there you go. Yeah. He has a quote about a mustache Twitter account.
Oh, he does.
Being created. Yeah.
I don't remember that. I remember the line.
When I was doing research, I found it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, with that, I will give you the floor and let you fire away and as you dig through your research.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go for. I'm not gonna go for a Ted Lasso quote right off the bat.
Okay.
I'm going to go with my favorite character, Roy Kent.
Okay.
I love Roy Kent.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a one-word phrase.
Okay.
You wonder where I'm going here, don't you?
I have an idea.
I'm not going to go with the F-bomb. We're not allowed to say that on here. This is a family show, everybody.
That's right.
As we drink beer at a brewery, which is family location. Oi. I'm just going with oi.
Okay.
Because the way he says it, the way he does it. Actually, hold on. I'll stick with oi. Whistle is also in my head.
That's where I thought you were going.
Whistle is where I probably should have went. Either way, his one-word lines make me laugh so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, whistle. Every time he yells whistle, come on.
Right.
Or oi, too. I mean, it just makes me laugh.
Yes.
And he's also got the lines of, why won't you let me be happy, as he's eating a gyro.
Right.
Don't ever settle for, less than great or whatever. All that stuff. But just the one-liners, including the F word, all three of those right there, whatever you want to lump that, that's what I'm going with.
Whistle was at the top of my list of what I thought you were gonna take. I thought
it dawned on me in the middle of it. That's what I should have taken, but I took oi. So
I also thought you might just grunt I didn't know if that.
That
would be-
also works too. Yeah, but Whistle, man, Whistle makes me laugh
Yeah.
so hard.
It is. It is. It's great. All right. With that, I'm going. So one of my favorite scenes of the entire show is Ted playing darts. with
Oh
Rupert.
God, yes. This was on my list.
Yeah. And so now I love the quote. Be curious, not judgmental.
Yes.
But that's a Walt Whitman quote.
Right,
So I'm
yes.
not giving Ted credit for
Right,
that.
yeah.
But of course, right before he throws the final dart, barbecue sauce.
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
That's
I
such
love,
a great
I love
moment.
that scene, that moment, all of it.
One of the best scenes
is
in the
fantastic.
entire series is right there.
Oh, absolutely.
It's so good.
And the whole theme that barbecue sauce and
Yes.
his love of it plays throughout the show is spectacular.
Yes.
All right, so that brings us to round two.
This is
and
not
your
this is
pick.
this is not my number 2, but this is a quote that goes with my Roy Kent stuff from Ted.
Okay.
On his excessive swearing. He's kind of like all the nipples in that movie Showgirls. Halfway through, you don't even notice. You just kind of get sucked into the narrative. So that's not my number 2, but it just
That's big time good.
It's pretty accurate. So, I've got to go. One thing that I like about the season 1 finale is that hope that kills you line. I really like that line.
Yeah.
Because I think it's kind of accurate in a lot of ways sometimes, but I like his line and response, and that's what I'm going to with number 2.
All right.
I've been hearing this phrase y'all got over here that it ain't too crazy about. It's the hope that kills you. Y'all know that? I disagree, I think it's the lack of hope that comes and gets you. See, I believe in hope. I believe in belief.
Very nice.
Yeah, I'm going with that one.
Well played. That's really strong. And
Yeah.
believing in belief is what Oklahoma State fans need right now after
Yes.
a couple of really hard weeks. And my number 2 would also benefit them in that same way. Be a goldfish.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a
really,
classic.
really solid. There are a lot of his interactions with Sam that I like. I might use another one for my final pick, so I won't tease it just yet. But I really enjoy that, and that obviously became a really meaningful phrase throughout the thing, short memory and all of that. So that could help some Oklahoma State fans right now, being a goldfish.
And I love a lot of that. I love there's so much positivity you can find out of this show. It's so great. So, anyways, my third one is just another topic. I could pick 4 quotes. I screenshotted 4 quotes from this one. His distaste of tea is one of the best things because I don't like tea either. I think it's gross. And every time he says something about it, I crack up. And so I've got to go with, man.
Decisions.
Yeah, I know. Be honest with me, it's a prank, right? The tea. Like when us tourist folks aren't around, y'all know it tastes like garbage. You don't love it. It's pigeon sweat. It's pigeon sweat. Like that's
right.
That's the sum of tea for me, right there.
I can't. Well, I disagree with the concept. I love tea.
Yeah.
We had some tea from HTO.
That's exactly why I thought of that.
To shout out another place here in Stillwater that was fantastic today. You missed out, but
I did not miss out.
Whatever you want to do.
My Diet Pepsi was delightful, and I don't even like Diet Pepsi that much. It was delightful compared to that tea.
Oh, all right, very good. Well, with the final pick in this draft, I was going to hang on to "Football Is Life" from Danny, but I'll let that go since you already let that one out. Another one that I love is Sam was more open than a jar of peanut butter on my counter. I've been waiting for an opportunity to actually tweet that in a game when a receiver gets wide open.
That's a good one.
Another one from him, don't bring an umbrella to a brainstorm is a fun one that I enjoy.
One, yes.
But my final pick in the draft is one that is really high on my list that I would also like to work into my own life and be able to use at some point. I feel like I fell out of the lucky tree and ended up in a pool of cash and Sour Patch Kids.
That's a good one.
Big fan of,
That's a good one.
Of that one.
That's a good one. Here's another one that I considered on the Diamond Dogs.
Oh, the Diamond Dogs. We didn't even steal anything with the Diamond Dogs.
It's just a group of people who care, Roy. Not unlike folks at a hip-hop concert whose hands are not in the air.
It is. Fantastic. Fantastic stuff.
Now I'm going to have to go rewatch this show.
Right.
I haven't watched it all the way through in a long time. I'm going to have to do that next.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. All right. With that, believe.
Yes, just believe. Believe in belief.
Believe in belief. And find your barbecue sauce. So
yes. I love barbecue sauce myself. I love barbecue. So
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it. Drop your comments drop your score predictions in the comments so you can win a beer that we'll drink for you on the next show. And
check out the Colin Oliver podcast.
That's right,
on
the
our
Colin
channel.
Oliver podcast. That was a lot
very
of fun.
important. Check that out.
Yes, really good stuff there to go check out. And I think that's it.
Yeah, we'll be
talk
back
to
this
you
weekend
with our post game podcast late Friday night, which of course won't be posted until Saturday.
Yeah.
But anyway, we'll be back. So thanks for watching and listening to the Cowboy Chronicles.